So here I am at my Amiga 2000 with the MNT ZZ9000 running firmware version 1.13. We're running Workbench 3.2.2.1 and we have Roadshow installed. And I've got the ZZ9000's Ethernet interface up, and if we show the net status, you can see that it's on the interface called ZZ9000net, and it's been configured via DHCP on my LAN to have 10.0.138. And I want to show you a couple problems I'm seeing with it. So the first thing we're going to do is use a tool called AmiSpeedTest and show you the usage information here. So I'm running iPerf on a Linux box on my LAN that I can talk to from this AmiSpeedTest. So let's run a speed test, and I want to show you what first the poor or unpredictable performance it gets, but then also I'm going to show you some screen glitches that are caused by doing network activity on the RTG card. In this case, it shows up on the pass-through via the scan doubler. We're in a 640 by 400 NTSC screen here. So I'm going to run AmiSpeedTest, and I'm going to say, let's see, we want to specify number of buffers just to shorten the test. We're going to set none buffers equal to 32, maybe 16. And then I'm going to say host equals the Linux box on my LAN, .0.1.33, and we're going to say do the TTCP test and give that a start. So that worked. I guess we need more buffers than that, so let's switch the number of buffers up to 64. And what we're going to look for is some screen glitches while this is happening. See, you're seeing over here in this area and other areas of the screen, you're seeing some horizontal lines. And that's the phenomenon that I see when I'm transmitting and receiving network packets on the ZZ9000 interface. Only on the HDMI output of the ZZ9000 do I see this. If I look at the same screen on my RGBtoHDMI directly out of my Denise chip, that interference is not there. So it looks like there's some kind of interference that is shown on the HDMI port, or that the ZZ9000 is experiencing when it's transmitting and receiving packets. I don't know if this is related to the performance issues that I'm seeing, but the performance is also commensurately, or is just poor. So for instance, here we got 330 kilobits per second only. So if we want to convert that into bytes per second, or kbytes, let's do one more test. And I'll go over to my RAM disk and I'll wget a 1 meg file via HTTP from that same Linux box on my LAN. So these are directly connected. There's only an Ethernet switch between these two machines. And it's 33, and the file is called 1 megabyte.raw. And see this? See, it goes along for a little bit, and then it stalls. And when I've looked with TCP dump, what's going on here is a number of things. Sometimes it's just that the ZZ9000 just stops sending or receiving any packets, including ACKs. So it just stalls out like this, and then it will typically resume. So and it's quite unpredictable when it will stall and when it won't. So it seems like there's traffic to be serviced by the ZZ9000 driver, and it's just not doing it. So occasionally this will time out. Sometimes you don't see it at all. See there, it just started working again. And so the resulting performance is terrible, 27.54 kilobytes per second. This is slower than I get on my Plitbox. If I run it again, sometimes it works better, sometimes it's even worse. And see here, it looks like it's setting up to be even worse. It started blocking right away. So most of the time, 99% of the time, it will ultimately transfer it, but it'll just wait these long periods of time. I have seen it fail completely, and what it fails on then is the ARP entry in the ARP cache on the remote machine will time out because the ZZ9000 is so quiet, it won't even respond to ARP requests. So beneath the IP layer, it doesn't even know how to find, the remote machine doesn't even know how to find the Amiga anymore because it's not responding to ARP requests. So it's definitely some kind of problem here, and I don't know if it's the hardware. I don't know if it's something to do with the driver software or the firmware on the ZZ9000. I'm pretty damn sure it's not Roadshow itself, because Roadshow is working great with my Flipbox, and Roadshow is just working nice all around. So some other kind of problem. And see, it's just blocking here. If I Control C to break out of that and try the test again, different performance. Now it's working fine. And this fine, look at how good it was then. 288 kilobytes per second. That's great. If it were reliable, that's way better than the performance that I get on the Flipbox, which would be like 40 kilobytes per second. Unfortunately, it's also way better than what I usually get on the ZZ9000. All we have to do is try another test again, and inevitably, it's unpredictable and won't do that same thing again. So that's the experience I'm having, and I just want to share that as I try to troubleshoot this problem.